Yo, we're back. It is King Pilled. You guys are watching King Pilled, or listening, as the case may be. Shout out to Glonk Respecter in the chat. Our boy is representing. And we've got that weirdo over there named Cooper, who is, I think he is stemming right now, if I had to guess. That's what my behavioral therapist wife has told me is the appropriate term for when the little Riris start flapping and stuff. That's what. Apparently, you're not allowed to call them little Riris, and you can't say they're flapping. You have to say they're stimming. So
That's way better.
yeah. So what's going on, people? It is good to see you. What's up? Random username in the chat.
How's the audio, guys?
Yeah, for whatever reason, every time we get connected, the audio is always changed from whatever it was last time. So if we're egregiously imbalanced or one of us sounds terrible more than we usually do, then let us know. Glonk says audio's good, so we're going to just plow on forward here. That's my MO.
We're just gonna plow it.
Yeah, just fucking plow it. So I hope you guys have managed to survive the eclipse. Everyone was very, very concerned about this eclipse, and I was not. It was actually almost annoying how concerned people were getting about it, and it turns out I was right, as I often am. It was no big deal, although it was a little weird. We were our address here. We were at 99.8% coverage. And I went outside, and in the space of like 7 minutes, it went from cloudy day to almost dark to cloudy day again. And in that little 7 minute stretch, all the birds got really quiet, and all of the dogs lost their shit. So that's basically how it went. Here, I thought that I was going to catch an early retirement, but it turns out that no, I've just got to keep going. The eclipse ended, and I still had a stack of work left to do. So. How about you, Cooper? How was the eclipse?
I gotta admit that shit was kind of underwhelming. Because I'm in Michigan, so I'm like right next door to apparently like the 100% is in Ohio or something like that. So I'm like a couple hours away. I'm like, oh, I should be able to see most of this, and I had the glasses on, and it just basically looked like a macaroni noodle in the sky. And it got kind of dark. It didn't get that dark, but it got kind of dark for a minute and a little cold. And then I warmed right back up, and I was like, oh. I mean, I feel a little bit, I don't know, I imagine like 1,000 years ago in the freaking Mesoamerican desert or something like that, like a bunch of goat herders would have been freaking out. And then here we are looking at it like, that kind of sucked. You know?
Yeah.
You got planets and stuff moving around. That's kind of, wasn't that good. I did briefly have an urge to kill my neighbor and eat his heart. But
fortunately, you seem to have suppressed it.
Yeah.
Or is he the reason why everything's red today? You actually gave in to the urge?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's still alive. I promise. Don't
check on him.
Yeah. Don't. He's fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
But,
I just saw what your name is.
Just stop bringing it up.
I just saw what your name is on the screen. I was like, wait a second, I did something wrong. And then I looked at mine, and I was like, oh, God damn it, Cooper.
Hi, I'm Matt.
You got me.
I was going to go with Buck Johnson, but I went with Matt today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I used to do regular shows with Fuck Johnson. That was quite an experience. So today, we are going to expose you guys to a lot of women. But we're going to subject you to women. But before that, I wanted to share the one thing that Cooper said is not very funny, but I think it's funny, so you guys are going to have to watch it with me. This is what I was thinking about all day today. And actually, so what you saw was, with the clip that I posted in the Discord was just an abbreviated clip of the longer bit here. But one of my favorite comedians has a bit that was relevant to the goings-on of today. So we're going to watch this little... You can watch it if you want. It's just the audio. But let us watch and laugh. You guys will see why.
But my older brothers would never let me play when they played. So I put Vaseline on the colored circles. Left leg broken. Should have let me play. I said please. I'm from a big family, 8 kids. Yeah. We had to call our stuff in the house every day. You know, you have to call your possessions, claim your territory. Like if you got up from your chair to make a sandwich, you had to claim it. You know, I call that chair. That's what we would do. I call that chair. It's my chair. I call that chair. Hey, when I get back, that's mine because I called it. I call that chair. I didn't realize this only worked at home. I thought this was a universal system, you know. My first day in school was very strange. I call this desk. I call this desk. My teacher's like, yes, we all do, Brian. I'm like, just grabbing onto it. I don't know why we did it at home anyway, because my older brothers always took whatever they wanted. Like when we were all getting in the car, I knew where I was going to end up sitting, so I would pretend like I wanted that. Back seat in the middle, my feet on a hump. I called it, get off the hump. Hey, my hump. I believe the hump is mine. I think my parents were kind of worried about me. He's calling the hump, Walt. He shouldn't want the hump. As long as they ain't fighting. Hump's good, right, Brian? Oh, the hump's good, yeah. You like the hump. I love the hump. I'm the hump boy. I'm riding a hump to Disney World. We would go on vacation in our station wagon. We had a big, giant station wagon. We had the front seat, back seat, and a little tiny seat in the back that faced the opposite direction. The 2 kids in the back had a completely separate vacation from everybody else. Because the middle area is just loaded to the ceiling. Kids in the back just sat there the whole time, you know, just looking around. I wonder what all these signs say. And you'd spend most of the trip trying not to make eye contact with the cars that came up close behind you. You know, you're looking at them, oh, looking at your shirt. Oh, there he is, okay. Scratch your shoulder. My parents are great. They always wanted us to experience different things. Like all the other kids went to school on their bikes, and my dad made me go to school on a pogo stick. Anybody else have? Did anybody else have? I was always late, you know, because I had a basket on there. I have to keep stopping to get the books. We spent a lot of time out in the yard, too. My parents would just send us out into the yard every once in a while for no reason. Okay, kids, out in the yard. Okay. Run out there. Stay out in the yard. Okay. Didn't know what to do. Just
Okay.
looking around. What'd you guys do yesterday? Ooh, we just stayed out in the yard. Just stayed out there. Stayed out in the yard. You find stuff to do, though. Anything can end up being a toy for a kid, including the sun. We used to try to see how long we could stare at the sun without stopping. I don't recommend this. But I remember we did it. I remember my brothers going, okay, Brian, records 5. Records 5. Ready? Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah! Yeah, I got 6. I got 6. I got 6 at the sun stare. My parents are like, hey, Brian, don't do that. Yeah, it's just about to stop. Just about to find another activity. That's not a good activity. That's what we were supposed to come up with. That's the language my mom used with us, you know. We're 4 years old. Come up with a good activity. You know, we're like sitting in mud. Is this
the mud man.
Activity? Activity? One of our activities was making bike ramps out in the street, because that's where all the cars are. You put a cement block out in the middle of the road, you angle a piece of wood up to it, and the object was for one kid to get on his bike, ride as fast as he could, and see how high he could go. And that's as far as we planned. It wasn't until the first kid was like flipping in the air. What happens now? We don't know. He'd hit a mailbox. We had a bunch of 9-year-old paramedics running up. We didn't know what to do. We get up there. Oh, get some leaves. You do what you can. Hey, that was the easy part. The hard part was being the kid that got sent in first to calm mom down before you dragged in the actual banged up brother. You'd have to be the point man, you know? Go tell mom. Oh, no. It's your turn. Oh. So you'd have to run in. Hey, mom. Oh, okay. Everything's fine. You know, she bought that. Yeah. Everything's fine. I just want to run in at full speed and, say hi and okay, so, Kevin. Oh, okay, of course. Okay. Well, you know how, like, his right arm, usually it bends. Usually it would bend like that. Okay, it's not bending like that right now. And it's no big deal because we already looked at it, but we were thinking, since you said that you had to go get milk later anyway, so we were thinking since you have to go anyway, then we were all thinking if when you go, if you just might want to take him to the hospital. And if you get peanut butter, get smooth.
See, the great thing about Brian Regan's bits is there's lots of really usable one-liners in them that once, if you get a group of friends that all watch his stuff, then this is how it was for me in high school. I had, I don't know, maybe 10 different guys that we all at one point had basically that entire set memorized. We'd listened to it so many times. I've listened to it probably, 500 times in my life. And it still makes me laugh every time. My whole family's all watched it. So now, like, we'll say, get some leaves.
I'll admit that does kind of take me back.
Doesn't it? Isn't it great?
Childhood, yeah. With my
Kids don't get
brothers.
to live like that now.
No. It's kind of bucolic. I remember the days. I barely remember a world before, everyone had personal computers and, there's still stores closed on Sunday, I remember that. Barely remember that world.
You'd go out, leave the house at like 9 in the morning on a Saturday or something, and for me it was a Sunday, but you go out and just be out all day. Maybe you'd come back for a minute to grab a drink or something like that, and then you'd be out just running around in the woods and riding bikes and making bike ramps and climbing trees and getting yourself all fucked up and having to be like, oh, I got to tell a good story for how this happened. I don't want to get in trouble. You come back like at 8 or 9 at night and you're all like scratched up and bruised and you got like some makeshift bandage you put on your leg or something.
Your clothes are all stained and dirty. Yeah. You're wearing your Sunday best and you just tore holes in the knees.
Yeah, your parents are just like, whatever, just be back by dark. Okay. The big yellow one is the sun. That's another. Any Brian Regan appreciators out there will appreciate that. So we were talking earlier today, Cooper and I, about how Cooper is an art hoe. Which I identify because I am also an art hoe, and now this isn't just talking about paintings per se. We're going to show you some paintings here or some drawings here in just a second, but
prints.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm an unsophisticated art hoe. So Cooper is very sophisticated.
I don't know about that.
Oh no, you are
more than you.
Yeah, that's very. Brian Regan's baseball bit. Yeah, one away, Brian. Okay. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm gonna do too much Brian Regan. So there's a phrase that I heard. I can't remember for the life of me. If somebody in the chat knows this, who said this recently, I don't remember if it was someone in our group or someone on a podcast I was listening to. They said that men are romantics pretending to be pragmatic, and women are pragmatics pretending to be romantic. Or it might have been the other way. Or it might have been, they're pragmatic. Women are pragmatic, but pretending to be romantic. Men are the romantics. And I think this is one thing that has been kind of bludgeoned out of modern man. This is one of the impacts of the devouring mother archetype that our good buddy Jason from the 2-Bit podcast has been talking about. it's become gay to be romantic, to appreciate things romantically. And romantically doesn't just mean like sex stuff. It doesn't just mean stuff related to relationships with women. It also doesn't just mean relationships with men. although relationships between men can be very romantic in like the true sense of the word. But there's a romance to, even now, even just like watching this thing with Brian Regan, listening to what he's talking about, that sort of that sense of kind of a winsome sentimentality about something in the past like that is yeah. And I'm not helping my case here, am I, Jihad Jimmy? He said art is big gay, and I'm just kind of really reinforcing that. But there is a romance about this. This is why men obsess about the Roman Empire. Men don't obsess about the Roman Empire because of a great admiration for its political structure, or it isn't for like cold, hard, rational reasons that men obsess about the Roman Empire. Men obsess about the Roman Empire because they're romantics at heart. There's a romantic attachment to the idea of a civilization that's virtuous and mighty and powerful, and being a part of that, and being able to participate in that reality. That romantic pull, that's what pulls men. A woman's like, why do I give a shit about the Roman Empire? How is the Roman Empire going to? How is thinking about the Roman Empire going to put food on my kid's table? How is it going to put clothes on my kids' backs? Like, this is an illustration of this romantic, pragmatic sort of dichotomy. Women might be romantic, but when it comes down to it, they're like, how am I going to be provided for? How are my needs going to be cared for? Whereas men are kind of like, I'll figure it out. They'll go do something and figure it out. But have you ever thought about, this particular aspect of this niche aspect of ancient history, and that there's that masculine desire to lose yourself in the imagination of past events and the great characters of history, and there's something about modern art that Cooper was expressing to me earlier today. You're looking rather dapper there today, I must say.
Fucking drip.
Yeah. Now you just need some good shades. Do you have like some like pink glasses with hearts? Yeah. You don't have the hearts, but yeah, now we're talking. Cooper was describing his experience as a Zoomer, which I can relate to a little bit myself too. The age gap isn't significant enough between us. That all art, all modern art is indistinguishable from propaganda. It's become completely propagandized to where Cooper was describing this. This is perhaps part of the root of the Zoomer cynicism, which is being constantly inundated with art that is just clearly designed to manipulate emotion and steer you in a particular political direction. It's bred a lot of cynicism for Zoomer art. Yet that desire to express oneself through art is still there. So the way this will manifest for a lot of Zoomers, and our old buddy Gerby Johnson is a great example of this. He produces, if you understand like the editing process and the technique and stuff that goes into producing the types of YouTube videos that he does, it's an intensive process. He devotes a lot of time and resources and energy and money into producing the art that he produces. Because a YouTube channel is ultimately, it's about entertainment. There's like an educational aspect to it, but to be successful, you have to be entertaining. It is a form of art. And so Zoomer art gets there's this very meta kind of ironic thing about it where there's deep suspicion toward or cynicism about expressing oneself authentically. Because any sort of authentic artistic expression that the average Zoomer has been exposed to is clearly inauthentic. It's just pretending to be authentic, but it's weaponized propaganda. So if you're being sincere and authentic, your motivations are in question. However, there's still a desire to produce something sincerely and authentically. So Zoomer art winds up being sincerely, authentically shitty. They intentionally produce something that looks low quality or seems really haphazard and bizarre. Like the deep fried memes is a good example of this, that just looks like it looks low effort, but the actual act of producing it is actually high effort. So you get this kind of weird, deep irony. Have I explained this well enough, Cooper, or do you have thoughts?
No, I think you're doing a pretty good job. I suppose because there's a desire, I think, for the Zoomers to be able to express themselves artistically, especially if you're a creative type. And the problem is because basically the only language of art that you've grown up knowing is propaganda. Art with an agenda. Not explicit, or not like always necessarily political, but a lot of the time. So there's still this desire to create art, but because they're kind of swimming in the soup of nihilism and everything, we're kind of cynical about everything, and any kind of sincerity or poignancy is viewed with suspicion. The way that you kind of circumvent this issue as the Zoomer generation trying to make art is you got to layer it in irony. And this is kind of a filter, because the people who get it realize how much effort it took and can appreciate that. But for the people who don't get it, they don't get it. But also, you as like kind of an artist can kind of keep yourself at arm's length from it. You have plausible deniability, so you're kind of guarding yourself, because I suppose it makes me think of you know what I'm talking about. In the arms of the angels.
Sarah McLachlan.
Yeah, you had those commercials with like the sad-looking puppies and stuff like that. And like I remember as a kid growing up watching those, and they used to make me angry because I knew what they were doing. They're trying to like tug on your heartstrings to steal your money so that they can go launder it and fuck kids on an island somewhere or something. So anything sincere feels like a setup for a con. So I suppose by kind of layering things in irony and cynicism, it's unfortunate that that is the case. Like, you can't really escape the problem that it is cynical, and it shouldn't be. To some degree, at some point we have to get back to making real art that is genuine and vulnerable or whatever. But in the interim, you're kind of keeping at arm's length for all of those reasons. Did that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah, totally. Kyle says, shout out Base Fat Chad. Kyle in the chat, he says, I don't think I've ever understood one of those deep fried memes. I'm old as fuck. What here? For those of you, we'll call an audible here real quick, and we'll take a little detour down the deep fried memes. Cooper, do us a favor as our resident Zoomer meme expert. Explain to the class what the deep fried memes mean to you. Like, first of all, like, I guess for the people who are listening on audio, you could go look up deep fried meme, but kind of describe the idea of it here.
It's usually like a low quality picture of something. Usually there's an element of absurdism or surrealism. And not only are they're like shitty, I don't know, what would like JPEGs or something like that just get they just get like they're cropped all weird, or they get filtered into oblivion, where you're just like you edit the copy, you crank up the contrast and the sharpness so it looks really grainy, and you blur it, and then you save that, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and it just looks horrible.
So like this one here, this is like, you can tell this is an intentionally created deep fried meme.
Right.
So the original inspiration, like this sort of thing emerged from you have a picture that you put online, and then that picture gets compressed and then downloaded and then uploaded and shared and compressed. It keeps getting compressed and edited and cropped. And so if you see an image that looks like this, that's super low quality, it implies a history. That there's a history really to this image being passed around.
And it's all corrupted and horrible looking and
Yeah, Jimmy says, so these parody the old email memes sent over and over again. Yeah, I'm sure it's like it's rooted in that. So then you get the implication behind it of like boomers and their email chains, and so then people start trafficking in these authentically, ironically. It starts out people doing them ironically, and then people start doing them authentically. And in fact, this gives a new explanatory or descriptive aspect to life. Because today, Cooper was telling me he felt like he was starting to get a little bit of AIDS yesterday, so he took some NyQuil, and before he went to bed last night. And so today he was dealing with the NyQuil hangover feeling. And the way he described it was, he said he was feeling like one of those deep fried memes, where you've got kind of, the way I'd said it was where you feel kind of like jittery but slow at the same time. So you have that sort of staticky, uneasy,
staticky.
skin crawling kind of, on edge. Yet at the same time, you're kind of foggy and blurry.
Yeah, everything that comes in is kind of fuzzy. It feels like radio
Crackly.
static, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like this. So this is a really authentic form of art, really. The deep fried meme.
You asked me, what does the deep fried meme mean to me?
Yes.
And
Yes.
A chance to answer it. I think it's a good representation of the degradation of like the Zoomer mind in the nihilist soup.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, oh, hey, we're going to take memes and we're just going to make them horrible. We're just going to make everything horrible and ugly.
This one here. Look at this. Haunts. If you guys are watching, if you listen to the audio later, then you have to see this. Just go to the whatever mark we're at right now, 28-minute mark in the video. It's a deep fried, really fucked up looking horse that looks like it's had its head replaced by like a monitor lizard, and then it says haunts on it.
Josiah says nervous energy. That's right. That's exactly it.
Yeah.
It's kind of this. It's kind of like this paranoid, schizophrenic kind of energy. You know, where like there's shadow people watching you through the windows or something.
What was that thing that you posted in the Discord the other day? We're going to take another detour. We're going to detour off the detour. Something about a schizo.
Oh, Jerry Marzinski?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
tell that story.
Oh, basically, I'm sure you guys have, many of the people watching have heard of him. Kind of a little bit in the like woo-woo kind of crowd. Like some of the stuff he says is kind of, a little, how do you describe it?
New age.
New age, yes, that's what I was looking for. Kind of new agey. The way he kind of approaches this issue is kind of new agey, which is a little cringe, but I think he's onto something. He was a psychologist or something like that, working at a state hospital with a bunch of schizophrenics, and he decided, hey, nobody here seems to ask the schizophrenics about their delusions, about their hallucinations, so I'm going to start asking them questions. And then he realized that there was a lot of patterns and consistency between the experience of schizophrenics, which, if that was the case, if it was the case that schizophrenics are tormented by delusions and hallucinations, which they may be to some extent, but a delusion or a hallucination rather would necessarily, if it's a hallucination, it would be random. You wouldn't see patterns emerging. You know what I mean? Like you would have,
or not like specific patterns. You might have like really
patterns
broad
and coherence. Yeah, you might have like, oh, here, a set of different kind of symptoms and things like that people who have this particular issue tend to experience. But you wouldn't expect that the voices people are hearing. You'd expect, or like, okay, maybe you'd expect them to be, some of them would be very good. Some of them would be bad. Some of them would be neutral. Most of it would be word salad. It would be complete nonsense or whatever, but that's not it. It's all like really coherent across hundreds and hundreds and like thousands of cases.
So he started tracking this, right?
Yeah, he started tracking it, and then he started like, okay, describe your experiences to me, the voices that you're hearing. Okay, interesting. Oh, that's interesting. And he started putting together these patterns, and then kind of like checking out, cross-referencing, like, oh, that's weird. The vast majority of you who are schizophrenic all are experiencing the same thing. And then he started running experiments, and he'd be like, okay, so, here, read this psalm and tell me what happens. And then, sure enough, you had a similar, or what happens when you go to church? He'd ask these questions, and he started being able to kind of like test some things. And he basically came to the conclusion, as an ardent materialist who was a product of the university system, that these people are being tormented by literal demons.
So then he started like, what was he doing? He was testing there was a story, like a specific story about a guy that he started asking them to do something in particular, he referred to them as energy parasites. He was talking to a schizo, and he said is like he referred to these entities as energy parasites, and the guy like went numb kind of and was just sitting there like blankly just staring at him, and he like couldn't interact with them or something like that. And he found out later that the guy told him that when he referred to them as energy parasites, the voices got really upset, and they were like bombarding him and telling him to kill the therapist, to kill the Marzinski. And so he started experimenting with this, and whenever he referred to them as energy parasites, they would get really upset with lots and lots of people. And then, correct me if I missed the details on this, but the last part of it was a green text, and the last part of it said that he started, when he was talking to them and he realized that they'd get triggered by him saying energy parasites, he started imagining them. Like, so he's sitting there talking to this person. He's realizing this person is seeing real entities. He's encountering, interacting with, listening to real entities that are there present with him. And he started picturing, as he was talking to me, he was picturing in his own mind these entities being there and their mouths being duct taped shut. And then he would ask the person, what is the what's happening to the entities? And when he was picturing them having their mouths duct taped shut, the person he was talking to would say that their voices got muffled and they were like having a hard time talking. And that was the point where, as I was reading the green text, I got to that and I was like, okay, tossing my phone across the room. Like, nope. That's the stuff I'm not interested in being involved with. But it's very interesting because I don't remember exactly how we got into this, but it's the schizo stuff. That the schizo people are kind of the standard materialist explanation for it is really, it's just like brain chemicals gone awry, and they're just like hallucinating things indistinguishable from what we think of as dreaming or whatever. They're just doing it during the day. But it turns out that it's like we perceive schizo people as being like having access to less of reality than us, but in a sense, they actually have access to more. They're seeing stuff that we don't necessarily see, but that stuff is still there. It's still present.
It's like the in the ancient world, well, I suppose what we would call schizos today. I don't like doing this. I don't like where we do that, like, oh, everyone who was demon possessed just had, epilepsy or whatever. But, in bygone days of yore, the schizos would have been like the seers, the oracles.
And that's why people didn't want to go see them. Like, think about like the crazy schizo guy in your neighborhood or something that everyone's kind of like, you cross the street and walk on the other side because you never know when he's going to come out in his underwear, like swinging a newspaper and yelling at the sky. And so like people didn't want to go talk to that guy, but like, you got to go talk to the seer. Oh crap. Okay. Well, I got to go give him something to pacify him or whatever. And then I've got to get in and get out. It's very, it makes a lot of sense to me. Candy Stuff Corp says, even if the chemical hypothesis is correct, isn't that just the interface or medium to the actual experience? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, saying, oh, it's just chemicals is like, all right, well, I mean, when I walk in front of a bus, that's just molecules colliding with each other. But just describing it as molecules just colliding with each other doesn't like change what it's actually happening.
Yeah, it's like women talking about abortion, you know?
Uh-huh.
If you just speak about things in really clinical scientific terms, it doesn't sound so bad.
Yeah, right. An eviction.
Yeah, right. But
that random username has a $2.
The chemical hypothesis is total bullshit, by the way.
Yes.
The chemical imbalance thing, that's total nonsense.
$2 super chat from random username. He says, free deep fried NFTs for Kingpilled subscribers. Now we're talking.
It's like Prozac propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Chemical imbalance. Get out of here.
All right, so before we get into talking about the women's here, we got 65 viewers on YouTube right now and only 16 likes. So you guys gotta help us out here. We need your help. Do us a favor and give us the YouTube things. Like the stream, share the stream even. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't before. We're also on all of your ordinary podcatchers. Just look for King Pilled. If you're on the Apple Podcast, you're not going to see the really cool vaporwave neon branding, but it is still us. And we're also streaming on Twitter, formerly known as X. You can follow me there at Real King Pilled. So this is what Cooper has described to me as his favorite artist.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a nice palate cleanser for you guys. Her name is Laura Macabrescu on Instagram. That's Laura, Laura. Macabrescu is spelled Makabresku. Laura Macabrescu. And she's got a really, really distinct style. Cooper, do your art ho thing for us. What is it you really enjoy about her style?
I don't know if I could put my finger on it exactly. There's something. It's just really pretty. It's really pretty. It's really beautiful. I like, for example, go back. The whole aesthetic. This is the thing about talking about art. I think, was it Wittgenstein who said something along the lines of like, sometimes it's best just not to talk about things when you don't have words for them. Mm-hmm. Go back to the whole list there. Scroll down. Like, look at all these prints. The colors are fantastic. First of all, she does prints and photography and things of that sort. Some Polish chick, and I maybe it's the themes. There's a lot of common themes amongst like across her work, but the deeply religious themes, I really like that. Yeah, it's just wonderful. It's wonderful. Really, really pretty stuff.
Homesick.
Very, very, very Catholic.
Evocative.
But yeah, evocative. That's the word I'm looking for. There's something about this that, like, I go through and I look at all of these and it kind of gives me chills.
Here is
this one's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So this is the caption on this one. So she's Catholic. The caption on this one is St. Francis tenderly wounded by love, a photograph inspired by St. Francis receiving the stigmata. So you have Christ on the cross here, taken from like up above his shoulder, kind of. And then I don't know how easy it is to see on the screen, but you can see St. Francis down here, and he's got his dove above him. And then you can see she's got some really faint lines here you can see these as either him beholding Christ, and it looks like the lines line up with the wound on his side and his hands. You could see it as him beholding Christ, or Christ, like depending on which direction these lines are traveling. Are they traveling out from St. Francis, or are they traveling into St. Francis from Christ?
Yeah, it's
very minimalist. It's
yeah,
minimalist, yet it's very wide open. There's so much space in her art.
there is like there's another one right. Man, I was doing the art ho thing a lot better earlier when or the other day when we were talking about this.
Yeah, you completely you went for like half an hour.
Like scroll up, and I'll tell you which one.
Okay.
Go up a little more. It's in her prints up at the beginning. And keep going. Keep going. Right there, one of the blue ones. One of the blue ones, down below. Go down like 2 rows. This makes for great
Yeah,
great
this is
radio.
great for a podcast.
That one right there that you're hovered on right there. That was wonderful.
Oh, yeah. The caption on it is, "The warmth of God's mercy embraces a lost soul that, after a long wandering, returns home. Photography inspired by the biblical parable of the prodigal son."
Just phenomenal.
So this is photography.
Yeah. Photography and prints. She does a lot of prints as well.
So this
But
isn't...
she's doing playing with the taking photography and then playing with the colors and stuff.
I wonder how she took this photo. Like, did she use a drone? Is this her? Does she have... There's a lot of pictures of her and her husband. So I assume maybe this isn't them. This is her. Took this picture with some other like actors or something like that. It's really fascinating to me. It's beautiful. So yeah, this is so that, like, what's interesting with this kind of art, so this art is just objectively just incredibly beautiful. There's something that's very soul cleansing about just sitting and looking at it and studying it and thinking about the story behind it, all of that. But so you have the zoomer, like, contrast this with the deep fried memes. It's really interesting that both of them have, you could sit and you could think about like the background of the story, how the story was put together, how it's framed, all of these things being I don't know, there's a story behind each of them. And this sort of thing this would be too authentic for most Zoomers. This is too raw.
I think that's why I like it so much. Is like, man, this is, as someone who's a creative type, I wish I could make art like this. I can't. Every time I've tried to make sincere art, I always have to ruin it. I just have to sabotage it.
You have to draw a dick on it or something.
Yeah, like I have to just ruin it somehow. I can't like get over myself.
All right. Do you have any other thoughts on the art thing here? Or should we get into the talking about the bitches?
We can talk about the bitches. I guess there's one more that I would like to highlight. Here, I'll drop the link in the chat here real quick.
Okay.
But just generally, like, broadly speaking, this everybody should go follow her. She's fantastic. Go look through her entire collection. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, I remember this one here.
There's
Share
something like really
screen.
haunting about it. Cool art, man.
Let me see if I can zoom in on this one a little bit. Whoop.
There you go.
Not that much. There. So you've got, the caption says, "The lonely tree bows its branches down to relieve the suffering."
And then there's the one right before it where there's a woman sitting there feeding some deer, and she's sitting right next to the cross, and you can see Christ's feet just up at the top, and it's just so good, man. Everyone should just go spend like 3 hours scrolling through her entire thing and looking at all these, because that's what I've done multiple times. It's really good stuff. Very, very Catholic, but still very good stuff.
Yeah,
I want to see more art like this. I want to see more people making art like this, because I'm incapable of doing it.
What's up, Piquignones? Good to see you, man.
Howdy, Pete.
Piquignones in the chat. All right. So there you go. We gave you 45 minutes of art hoeing in some manner or another. So we're going to pivot now to the main subject of the conversation today, the bitches. So we talked about this in our last show, and we actually intended on having this particular conversation on, I don't remember, Friday or Thursday or something like that, and just couldn't get around to it. Didn't have time to do a show, and then Cooper and I started talking about on the phone, and we had like an intensive 3-hour conversation back and forth where we were really jamming on it. And I was thinking, man, I wish we would have just recorded this phone conversation because we could have posted that as an episode. But our last episode, we were talking about this subject that was dominating Twitter at that point about the Alex Kashuta's tweet thread and people's reaction to it. So if you haven't listened, if you're not aware of the context of the conversation, we're not going to go fully into that today. We're going to kind of just pick up where we left off last time. You go listen to our last episode, Revenge of the Chuds, which seems to have hit a note. We got the viewership on that one is up from previous episodes, and got some really good comments on it. Some really thoughtful stuff from you guys. We appreciate that. What's up, Colin Roch? So I have a handful of different videos and a couple of tweets here I wanted to go through today from different people commenting on this. And Cooper and I have some of our own thoughts about this whole archetypal masculine and feminine I don't know, phenomenon discussion. Javier Oliva says, just call the NSA. They can just email you the MP3 file of your phone conversation. That's true. Really, I should be able to just say, like my phones, I've got two phones here sitting next to me, so I really should be able to just say, hey, NSA agent, do me a favor and email me that conversation. I'd appreciate that. My email is realkingpilled@gmail.com.
This channel would not be long.
Yeah, right.
If we started uploading our phone conversations.
So the gist of the debate here really is there's a number of different right wing, conservative, what have you, women who have attained some sort of influencer status on the internet, and they're beginning to object to what they see as, I don't know what they would call it, toxic masculinity or something like that, taking over the right-wing spaces online.
I hate that the frickin' leftoids have ruined language. So we can't just use words. Like I can't just say misogyny because that has all these it just sounds gay.
Right, yeah.
But I mean, that's what it is.
Right, yeah. What do I refer to this thing as? Like the actual sincere disdain for women. Is there a word we can use that means sincere disdain for women that hasn't been completely corrupted by the libs? It's a feminine movement, so they attack us in our language. It is true.
Yeah, well.
But before we really get into that, I wanted to give you guys a little, maybe a preemptive palate cleanser. This is, you're gonna have to put up with some relatively obnoxious takes by women in this, so we can use it as a jumping off point for conversation. So this one should at least be a little bit gratifying. Shout out to iHypocrite on Twitter. He posted this video of this guy. The backstory here was this guy was out at his apartment complex or something like that. He was swimming. He and another guy collided in the swimming pool or something like that, and they got into an argument. And then the other guy or woman, or I don't remember the exact details, but some guy showed up and flashed his concealed weapon at this guy. So this guy called the cops. And the cops showed up, and it was a female cop, and she showed up, and it immediately turned into just a shit show. Sam Hyde has proven correct again. It turned into a shit show. This guy wound up arrested and sitting on the pavement. So I think this interaction.
You might still be a little zoomed in there.
Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Am I in handcuffs? I don't care. You're not my mom. You're not my dad.
For a gun.
That's fine. I don't have a gun. I haven't committed a crime.
When I told you to keep your hands out of your pockets,
You're not
you did it.
I didn't commit a crime. You don't get to tell me what to do.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't. Why are you yelling at me?
Because I have every
Who
right
are
to right
you?
now.
What's your badge number?
321 Guerrero, Guerrero. Make sure you spell it right.
If you're this scared, Guy in a
Scared? I've been here
swimsuit.
for 20 years.
You're terrified of a guy in a swimsuit. I didn't do anything.
You can shut your mouth now.
They just detained me. I explained. There's no gun. That guy
I don't
has a
detain
gun.
anybody for no reason.
Then what reason?
Because I
What
told
crime
you
did I commit for
Can
you to detain
shut
me?
your mouth so I can explain it to
Are you in charge of this lady? Who's the sarge? This is absurd. Why am I in handcuffs on the ground? Are you a supervisor?
No, he's
Can
not.
someone
I've been
explain
here for-
why I'm handcuffed
Can
on
you
the-
shut your mouth
No.
so I can talk to you?
Look at you. You're furious. What did I do?
You did not listen.
You're not my boss.
Listen to
I
me.
don't need to listen to you. Am I in handcuffs? I don't.
My favorite part is when he starts laughing at her. He's like, "Look at you." He's like, "Somebody in charge of this woman? Like, she can't be the one who's in charge, very obviously." And she wound up getting. Oh, here, this is the cop. She wound up getting fired and I think sued. This is the cop. You should not be surprised at all.
Surprise.
The guy, I love the way the guy handles it. He's like, "You're not my mom. Fuck off." Okay, and then one other good one here.
I don't know, man. That's dangerous. I like that he did that. I like that he handled it.
He's
that way.
taking his life into his own hands.
Oh yeah, he is. Like, you really want to roll the dice on that one? You're a betting man.
Dikey McDikerson standing there getting all pissed off while she's carrying.
Dude, if you sneeze, she's gonna shoot you.
Jihad Jimmy says, "Holy fucking base swimming shorts enjoyer." Yeah. This is another one that's mostly here just kind of for the lulz. And this is also these two clips help us, our appreciation of that clip and this little thread here help us before we get into this and begin demonstrating why we've come full circle on women. We're going to demonstrate our own misogyny cred here.
Yeah.
So Ashley St. Clair says, quote, "You're a single mom. Okay. Am I supposed to cry about this? I have an awesome life and I love my child. You guys have serious mommy issues and just hate women." And Natalie Danlishin says, "Society should be praising every mom, including single moms. They made the choice to have babies and carry on the next generation." Now, that phrase, I'm like, I mean, within context, I might agree with a decent chunk of that. And she gets a reply, "Society should celebrate having kids out of wedlock." Her reply, "Society should mind its own business." Handsome Bob put it perfectly. He says, "Society should praise me, but also mind its own business. You women are so fucking emotional and drive total chaos into the world." And I'm glad he said that, because I'm sitting here reading through this and I'm like, okay, hold on. Like, I think we have a conversation here. Society should be praising moms, including single moms. They made the choice to have babies and carry on the next generation. I agree with that. But then you can't turn around and one tweet later say, society should also mind its own business. You get it one way or the other. Society cares about you, which means positive or negative, or society doesn't care about you at all and you have nothing to complain about. You don't get both. However, if you, as a man, are getting into a debate like this with a woman, the joke is on you. You're the one who got suckered in to the nonsense argument by a woman. This is her job. Her job is to test you and see if you're going to be suckered into a nonsense argument. If you take the bait, you failed. This is a shit test. All right. So, let's see. Which one was this here? Oh, this is one of the worst women on the internet. At this point now, we are just doing this to torture, to torment you guys. So first of all, we got a clip here from old Chuck Dirk. This also demonstrates, as we've talked about, that good old Chuck Dirk here has I don't know, he's growing up, man. He's doing real good. I'm real proud of him. Check this out.
We basically
face
told
just
a
makes
great
me
generation
angry,
of young
dude.
women.
What?
His face makes me angry.
It's like he looks more like the meme of. Have you seen the meme of him where they took his face and like shrunk it way down?
Yeah.
He himself almost looks more like that meme than that meme does.
We basically
He
told
looks
a
like,
great
especially from his profile. What's that name? The name of that guy from the Goonies? Like, hey, you guys.
Oh, Sloth.
Yeah, Sloth.
Yeah.
Look at him. He looks like Sloth.
He does. Hey, you
Why
guys.
is his skull shaped like that? What a freak. You know, if this 100 years ago, the only way he'd have been able to make money was in a circus.
He's like the anti-Yakub. He's got his like little pointy
man.
head up here. Okay. So there. Now we've made fun of our good buddy Chuck Dirk, so now we can appreciate him.
We've basically told a great generation of young women, don't get married, don't have kids, go get a corporate job, and it's created mass political hysteria. And then in their early 30s, they get really upset because they say, you know, the boys don't want to date me anymore because they're not at their prime. And people get mad when I say that. Well, it's just true. If you're in your early 30s, I'm sorry. It's like you're not as attractive in the dating pool as you were in the early 20s. But again, you have your corporate job and cats, so I thought, you know, we've basically...
Real quick before I read this tweet from Hannah, two things. One, Jihad Jimmy says, God gave men the option to cover up an ugly face. Speaking of facial hair. And I would just like to point out that he gave it to some women, too. Women, there are women who could lean into that. It's not going to help them, though. The other thing is, there was a recent conversation. So we've talked about Yarvin talking to Chuck Dirk. And then Yarvin went on the Moment of Zen podcast and talked about that conversation. And one of the interesting things he pointed out is that Yarvin is 50, Chuck Dirk is 30. And he said the bulk of Charlie's audience is older than Yarvin, and the bulk of Yarvin's audience is younger than Chuck, which is a very interesting observation. So Chuck Dirk's talking to the boomers, and Yarvin is talking to the Zoomers, even though Chuck Dirk's a millennial and Yarvin is a Gen Xer. So Hannah Cox, again, this is the...
I mean, that seems to support our theory about these, you know, the kind of parallels those generations.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you guys, I'm sure you guys are probably aware, but you've got the based politics thing here, which the way you can tell that they're a really serious operation is because they have a hyphen in their URL, based-politics.com, which means they couldn't afford to get basedpolitics.com, because if they could, they would have. Based-politics.com is just wretched. And so this woman she is the epitome of a libertarian female commentator, the worst thing possible on the internet.
Who's that dude with her in that picture? Is that gay dude?
Yes. She says, every time Charlie Kirk opens his mouth, the country takes another step towards socialism. Oh no, socialism is coming. It's not here yet, but it's coming. Women and minorities are fleeing the right due to doofuses like him, and somehow these morons haven't done the math to realize they can't lose 50% of the country if we want to remain capitalists. So here's the epitome of millennial feminist libertarian politics. This is the scourge of the earth. The whole premise here is just the whole premise is just fucked up from the beginning, but we've got more to get into. So this is just a context. This is just a plate setter because we don't want to just pick at the low-hanging fruit today. Yes, capitalism. Yeah, the three brackets capitalism. This is where things start getting interesting. So, which one of these do I want to do first? I think let's start with this one here. So, talking about the men as romantic, women as pragmatic. This guy, Retirement Keys on Twitter, says most dudes have zero idea how the average woman actually perceives the world. She has zero idea what car you drive. An old C8 is a McLaren. A 40K Cayman is a 911. Zero conception of money. A smart self-promoter making 50K a year can be perceived as exponentially richer than dork making 300K per year. Guys don't understand that value has to be communicated somehow. The idea that the guy who sits in the corner of the room and silently thinks, and silently, quote, knows he's the best, actually wins nothing. Dudes afraid to put themselves out there use this as a massive cope. attempting to take moral high ground for lack of attention plus communication. Everything is a matter of perception. Again, relating to women is 100% perception management. And there is a level of marketing yourself that cannot be avoided. Value is worthless if nobody knows you have it. You could be the richest, coolest guy ever, but if you pull up, sit in the corner saying and wearing nothing, then leave, that is a net zero in all ways. This, again, we mentioned before how, and I just said it again, how everything with women is a matter of perception. Relating to women is 100% perception management. There was a comment left by our good buddy Tyler on the last episode. He said that he basically agrees with the gist of what we're saying, but he sort of protested a little bit what I said about how like the women in their 30s who are just now wanting to settle down. This is like the used goods, the thing that Chuck Dirk is talking about. How women, once they get into their early mid late 30s, they're no longer as valuable in the dating market, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a lot of angry young men out there who don't want to be told that these are actually women who need to be married and wifed up and have babies put in them.
Yes.
Nobody wants to take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
Tyler said that it's kind of a black pill to think about having to like being told you have to marry these women. And I want to clarify, I replied to him, but I want to clarify, it's not that you need to marry them. It's not that you have to go out, that you specifically, the guy that's listening right now, are required to go marry women, childless women in their 30s. Our point is that you are not better than them. And you shouldn't refuse to consider them simply because they are childless women in their 30s. If that's the reason you're not considering them, that's not a good enough reason. You look like you're about to say something, Cooper.
Well, I was just like, it's like I recall saying on the last stream that we did that I said something along the lines of like, okay, we're not saying you have to go, date and marry the former OnlyFans chicks, but somebody should.
Yes.
Good thing there's not a lot of them, but in any case, at least of the OnlyFans variety. But there are a lot of chicks in their early 30s, late 20s, early 30s who are single. Yeah, okay, guys, like, I know you want... Come to reality, okay?
Yes.
Reality. Like, I don't know. Okay, she's 30. She's single. Well, what's, like... I mean, you could still get 5 to 10 kids out of her if you
right, yeah.
keep doing your job.
And here's the alternative. The alternative is you have all of these guys in their 20s who are trying to get their shit together, who are like, "Oh no, I'm too good for that. I'm going to find my ideal trad virgin. I'm going to find my perfect woman who's been waiting and saving herself for me." And maybe you find her, maybe you don't.
Dude.
But what's going to happen is you're going to get all of these women who are currently in their 30s and childless, who are eventually going to be women in their 40s and childless. And when you get women in their 40s and childless, and they begin to recognize that not only are they childless, but they are going to stay childless, that's how you get insanity. That's how you get an insane society. That's part of what we're seeing now. We're starting to see the collective effect of girl bosses being deceived into thinking that girl bossery is the way to be, and they're starting to collectively lose their minds. So, I know you don't necessarily want to think of yourself as, oh, well, I've got to sacrifice because deep down, all of these men, you're all romantics. You don't want to sacrifice your romantic vision of finding that ideal, nice, slender, 9 out of 10, gorgeous, just wants to be at home barefoot in the kitchen, cranking out babies. You have this romantic vision of that you want.
Right. You have this romantic vision, but on the other hand, you have autism, and you understand how hypergamy works. And let's be honest, most of you are 5 or less. You're a 5 or less, because we're just talking statistics here, okay? Mm-hmm. So you don't get to have the 9, all right? Unless you have a fuck ton of money, it's not going to happen. Come on. So you can get someone who's maybe, I don't know, you could probably, let's say you're a 4 or 5, you could probably land like a 7 or 8 if she's 30. and you're 25 or something like that and got your shit together. Mm-hmm. So you can if you're after looks, you can actually get that. You gotta go for the older ones.
And there's trade-offs on both sides here. It's not that marrying an older woman is an unalloyed evil, that you're just going to get downside on everything. There's upsides to it.
But also, dating a 20-year-old or an 18-year-old, I don't know if Xavier's in the chat right now. He had a recent experience. Let's see, Xavier's 27. He dated a 20-year-old, a Zoomer chick. That was torture. That was a horrible experience. I don't recommend it. Could you imagine that? Dating Zoomer chicks?
Yeah.
I mean, a Zoomer. That sounds horrible.
And the guys that are listening to us are probably Zoomers as well. You've met Zoomer chicks. You know what they're like.
Swifties. Come on.
There's plenty of those in their 30s too.
Yeah, well.
Javier Oliva says, I think what may repel many men is that some of these women are unrepentant and will continue in their ways after you marry them. Repentant 30-plus women can work. Yeah. No, so this should be obvious. Like, we're not telling you need to be Hosea. Maybe you need to be Hosea. Maybe you need to go marry an actual prostitute and have her leave you multiple times, and you remain faithful to her and go get her and bring her back. Maybe that's you. We're not saying that has to be you. Clearly, you shouldn't go try to entrap and force to settle down and force a woman to settle down if she's not interested in it whatsoever. But there's lots of women who are that age who want to settle down. And you shouldn't be, if the only variable that you're considering when you're choosing to reject a woman like this is she's over 30 and or has children already, she's a single mom who and or is over 30. If that's the only metric that you're using, get over yourself.
It's a good filter. Consider it in the equation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but it cannot be the only metric. Because there are a lot of very good women out there who wound up in their 30s, childless or otherwise, and are now on the market. And they're feeling the sensation of their eggs drying up. They want to make babies. They are here to make babies. This is their purpose. They've made mistakes, yes. They're dealing with the baggage of those mistakes. Your responsibility as a man is to find a woman and make her mistakes your mistakes. If you get a young woman, your young trad wife virgin, you're going to be taking on her mistakes as well. You're going to be taking on all the variables that come with that as well. These are not necessarily better. But again, I'll reiterate. If the only variable that you're considering is she's over 30 and or has children, and I'm better than that, I deserve better than that, she ought to remain single for the rest of her life, this is your pride talking. This doesn't make you based and Chad and super masculine and everything. It's actually kind of pathetic.
That's pretty selfish too. Because it's not only like, okay, maybe you could make an argument that, this person is should be or ought to be, they should bear the consequences of their actions for the remainder of their life and die miserable and alone. Okay, maybe, but you're also like, now you have a whole generation of children as well. Mm-hmm. Like, okay. Story time. I was... Let's see. Give me 1 second.
Uh-huh. I hear footfalls. Yeah, I pick up what you're laying down here.
Okay, we're in the clear. I can speak freely now. I recall, okay, for example, okay, I was raised by a neurotic mother, an absent father, and the only thing that kept me sane, and that probably prevented me from being a complete degenerate, of which I am a recovering degenerate, but it would have been much, much worse, is the fact that I had a stepdad who's the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. My mom 5 kids. 2 of them were autistic. My stepdad.
2 of them other than Cooper.
Yeah, other than me.
Yeah.
Other than me. Autistic. My stepdad, who is, he's not perfect. But he was alpha man to a T. He's that kind of guy. He was a contractor, big tough guy. In any case, for whatever reason, I don't know why he would want to do this, because I certainly would not want to marry my mom. But honestly, I think about it sometimes. Like there is no better person on the planet for my mom, because my mom was incredibly stubborn, and she she kind of needed a guy who just like wasn't going to put up with it. In any case, that's a tangent. My stepdad's the greatest dude I've ever met. Love the guy. He was a dad to me when my dad was not. And like my oldest is my stepdaughter. Mm-hmm. Like I know a lot of you guys might spurg out like, whoa, you married a single mother? I did. Mm-hmm. And then we made some babies. And it's not like, guys, it's not a big deal.
And thank goodness that you did. Because imagine what her life would be like without you.
My oldest?
Mm-hmm.
Horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. Mm-hmm. I don't know, guys. Like, step up. Step up.
If you look at this serious cope, like who was it here in the chat said run away from single moms. Cope. This is pathetic. You're weak.
Yeah.
You're fearful.
You're a bitch.
If you think that you can't marry an older woman or a younger mom because it's going to ruin your life or you're not going to get everything that you deserved, you're fearful. You're not a strong man. You don't have the constitution to actually maintain your frame in a situation that you perceive as being not ideal. You're being a romantic. You're losing yourself in your romanticism.
Yeah.
If you are actually a strong, high-quality man, then you will redeem her by marrying her. This is the way. You will redeem her through your marriage to her, and you will redeem her children, whether they exist yet or not.
And she might be the thing that saves you.
Yes. Yes. That's a very good point. I know. So we both married older women who are older than us.
Older than us. I mean,
yes. Yeah. She was your wife.
When we
was
got
younger.
married, she was still early 20s when we got married.
Mm-hmm. My wife and I was 29 and she was 34 when we got married. And she's the best mom I've ever seen. She is absolutely fantastic. She is a saint. She is an absolute godsend. I was in a situation where I needed someone like her. I needed what she could provide to me and what she would challenge me to do, that she would hold me to account. This is part of the benefit of if you're a younger guy and you marry an older woman, especially if she's in her 30s, she's not trying to fuck around.
Yeah,
she's
like the last 10, 15 years just getting used.
Yes.
She might be kind of over that.
Yes. And she's going to push you. She's going to hold you to account. She's going to expect more out of you than a younger woman will. A younger woman might let you coast on your laurels. She's not going to challenge you as much. And you may very well be like I was. You may need to be challenged. You may need to be dragged kicking and screaming into your responsibility as a man. I'm speaking from experience.
Nothing will mature you like having children.
Uh-huh.
Like, man,
yes.
it's insane. Like, okay, so setting aside my oldest, my stepdaughter, who I've known since she was less than one. I've known since she was less than one. My wife and I have been together since she was at least once, or at most one, maybe 1.5, something like that. We've been together forever. In any case, having my son when I was 20. I had just turned 20 when we had my son. It basically destroyed my friend group insofar as, like, I can't relate to these people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, no, guys, I don't have 12 hours to just burn tripping on acid. I can't do that anymore. Like, guys, I can't just wake up at 8:30 in the morning and make myself retarded by smoking weed. You know, I can't do that. I can't just drop everything I'm doing last minute to go out to play pool with you guys or to play video games or to stay up all night streaming. Like, I've got shit to do. So it's just like that right there accelerated the maturation process 10x for me. And it's just now, you know, here we are almost 10 years later. Well, okay, so 7 years later. And it's like those same friends are just now getting married. And it's like we can kind of now start engaging again. And hopefully they'll have some kids soon, and then maybe they'll be up to speed. But you basically, you have to ditch everybody. I don't remember what my point was there, but oh yeah, just that like having kids or stepping into a situation where there are kids and you bucking up and being a fucking man. You want to grow, you want to be strong, you want to be a man. If you want that, that's a good way to do it. Obviously, be smart about it, be discerning, don't be a moron. But you want to be, if you want to be challenged and you want to be pushed, yeah, do that.
I want to highlight 2 comments here, contrasting them. First one I've got on the screen right now from Jeff Garrig. He says, running away from single moms is exactly what their baby daddy did. You are the same. That is a banger. Contrasting that with, I'm assuming this is sarcastic, from Farzan P. He says, raising other men's children is based. Unironically, yes. Unironically, yes. Raising other men's children after those men abandoned them is based. This is the behavior of an aristocrat or a king. They're the ones that, this is the responsibility of the strong men in the society, is to take care of the children who nobody else will. You want to complain about the devouring mother? This is how the devouring mother manifests herself. Is by inducing men into not taking responsibility for their own society. The devouring mother steps in because the man stepped out.
Yep.
Women do have agency. Women have agency contained within men's agency. The men set the frame, whether intentionally or not. The women act within that frame. If the men individually and or collectively begin setting a shitty frame, the women will respond accordingly. And women are naturally conservative. The men are the ones who are going to go out and do risky shit. The men are the ones who are by their own nature going to... Yesterday, Eastwood's here. His some friends from church were... it was the mom's birthday. So Amy and I, after church... We were watching, well, I was working. Amy was watching their 3 sons. They're like, I don't know, 7, 6, and 5, something like that. Eastwood's 3. And it was like banshees in the house. Just running around, screaming, bouncing off of walls, jumping off of things, crashing into each other, putting each other in headlocks and tackling each other onto the ground. I started hearing some commotion coming up the stairs, and I went and I looked down into the stairwell. And the boys had grabbed pieces of cardboard and they were sliding down the stairs on cardboard. This is how boys behave. This is innate, natural, biological behavior. They're going to do dumb shit. They're going to... At some point, there was some crying and we looked in to see what was going on. And the one kid was whacking Eastwood with a stuffed animal. So Eastwood picked up a plastic dustpan and clocked the kid in the mouth and busted his lip open. And all of us were just like, yeah, whatever. You know, just comfort the kid. Make sure Eastwood knows you can't do that. Make him go say sorry. And like, this is how boys behave. This is natural masculine behavior. Men are the ones who are just going to go out and take risks and do stuff, make stuff happen. The women are the ones who constrain the masculine behavior. If you really want to see the conservatism that's inherent, that's latent in a woman, make her a mother. She is going to start nesting. And that nesting is like, we're going to put a border around our nest, and I'm going to care for everything within that nest. And I'm going to be hyper vigilant and aware of anything that could potentially threaten that. And you, man, your responsibility is to go out, go away, get out, go find things, go hunting, go find resources, and protect the walls of the nest. The woman gets very conservative and protective of her family when she's given one, when she's put in that environment. This is what her natural impulse is. And this is from creation. Man was created first and was directed to naming the animals, bringing order into chaos. We were talking yesterday, completely unrelatedly, about the term ex nihilo. And I was thinking about how you could say it's like out of nothing, or it's kind of like out of emptiness. And emptiness isn't like an empty set, it's like absence of sets. So you could have a set that exists, and that set is just empty, or you could have nothing. There's not even a set to be empty. It's pure emptiness. And the masculine behavior is to create, to put something into the set, and then to order and structure it within that set, to impose himself on the world. The man contains the seed. He plants the seed in the world. This is why the earth is referred to in the feminine capacity. Mother Earth. Because she is what receives the seed and cultivates it. The man implants the seed, the woman cultivates it. And if you as a man, your responsibility is to go out and plant your seed, whether sexually or in terms of like accomplishment, make a dent in the world, impact the world. The women are naturally going to be conservative, and even more so as they are married and begin having children. Their biology is going to come out, whether they want it to or not.
Can I chime in on a comment here?
Yeah.
From Evan. It says, I'm not trying to be pedantic, but what do you all think about situations where the man is still in the life of the child and there is a co-parenting situation? So I have two thoughts about this. First thought, if you want it easy, best to avoid that. Like, just to be frank, like it's not easy. Speaking from experience, it's not easy. But then on the other hand, I'm inclined to say, grow up and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You get a free kid, dude. Yeah, you got to deal with some asshole like for a few years or something like that. Yeah,
right. Are you a man?
I get it, and sometimes it can be a real headache.
Yeah, you're Cooper is speaking from intimate personal experience here. He's not just shooting off.
Yeah. So like, I'm really unimpressed when I hear guys cope about this shit.
Mm-hmm. Bill Hicks says men in their 20s should be men in 20s marrying women in 30s should be the other way around. Sure. Maybe it's easier. Maybe it's better if men in their 30s marry the women in their 20s. But there's nothing wrong with men in their 20s marrying women in their 30s. You can do it. Not you specifically, Bill, but a man in general. You can do it. Like Cooper said, it's not going to be easy. But are you, as a man, just looking to play life on easy mode?
Yeah.
What does that say about you?
Yeah, you just... sorry, guys, but life is Dark Souls, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Farzan, be a real man and adopt an African baby. Yes.
I'm banning him. This guy's gay. This guy's a pussy. Bye, dude. Anyway.
So this tweet here I just read, I got a couple more here to share, but this one here I wanted to highlight two things out of it. One of them is where he said... So most dudes have zero idea how the average woman actually perceives the world. This is actually pretty funny. Like on a more lighthearted note, if you, as a man, like not every man is necessarily this way. Every man has something that he's this way about. For not every man, it's a car. But with cars, like he uses cars as an example. If you ask most women about cars, it's honestly pretty funny how little they know. It's bizarre to think about living in that world where all these sorts of things like cars and financing and economics and all this stuff, this is just impenetrable babble to a woman. Again, this is the woman is in her heart, she's pragmatic. She's like, what does this mean? Is this relevant to me? I don't care. A man is like, oh, let's talk about the merits of this car versus that car, this engine versus that engine, and performance statistics and all this sort of stuff. Men will go whole hog on that. A woman's like, is this going to help me build my nest? If it is, okay, then I'm interested in it. If it's not, I could care less. Get out of my hair with this stuff. And this is how women should be. This is a feature, not a bug. The other thing was highlighting again, everything is a matter of perception with women. Dealing with women is 100% perception management.
Oh man,
and
we got some screeching.
Oh, good, perfect.
I don't understand the banning of that dude for the African baby concept. No, it's not just that. He wouldn't. This is like the 5th time he's piped up saying some asshole thing. TXR, you're welcome to leave. Get out of here, dude.
Yeah. I don't. What does he say? He says the example is weird, but the overall point is true. Some people's kids have to be left behind. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't have to be left behind. You can take command of them. You can build your empire with them. This obsession with this particular type of purity is a very, very modern, very postmodern thing. There is not like an ancient historical justification or basis for looking at the world this way. You can absolutely adopt other men's children. It doesn't care what their background is. They need fathers. Now, if you're going to be a shitty father, yeah, you shouldn't adopt them. But that's not because of them. That's because of you.
And I mean, honestly, maybe you're more cut out for a monastery or just not existing at all.
Yeah.
Like, at least at a monastery, you'd be of some utility to the world.
Mm-hmm. So, using this idea of when dealing with women, everything is a matter of perception, or relating to women is 100% perception management. After getting some of the pushback from
do you know how many Roman emperors from Kyle? Do you know how many Roman emperors appointed heirs that weren't their children? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Even
Octavian was not Julius Caesar's son. He adopted him.
Right. And this is like, I mean, you get all these guys who are like, oh, my based monarchy. And like, what was the normal practice within monarchs across different realms? They were always marrying. They were using marriage as a political tool to unite different regions. So they were like, by definition, they were getting married and making babies with foreigners. This has been the way of the world for forever. If you're a Christian, then all the more that if you're a Christian, then that's all the more reason why this should be incomprehensibly moronic to you.
Yeah.
At the Passover, when God brought Israel out of Egypt, he wasn't bringing some like ethnic category of people called Israelites. He was bringing people from a bunch of different ethnic backgrounds and uniting them together in a single tribe. Phineas, the high priest, was a black man from Africa. And he was a high priest of the Israelites.
It wasn't Phineas. That was later. It was, what was his name? It's not coming to me. It was, Phineas was later. What was the guy's name?
Oh, well, now this is gonna,
It's gonna bother me.
Yeah, me too.
Both and. Says, damn, Cooper knows some Roman history. I stand impressed. I'm guessing that's sarcasm, because I was quoting Kyle, and I don't actually know that much about the Roman history.
This is going to drive me absolutely bonkers now.
In any case.
Yes.
The point. Get on with the point. You guys can look it up. Go read it.
Yes.
Whatever.
The point remains, when God brought Israel out of Egypt, there were Egyptians, there were Israelites, there were, I think Edomites were probably in there. There were a bunch of different quote-unquote ethnic designations that were represented within the people of Israel. When they went through Canaan and they wiped out the tribes there, they weren't just slaughtering and killing all of them. They slaughtered and killed some of them. Some of them, the way that tribe, what identified them as a tribal unit was their ritual practices. So if they came upon another tribe that had these pagan Nephilim ritual practices, those people were given a choice. You can abandon those ritual practices and take up ours, or we'll kill you. And if they abandon those ritual practices, you could have literally every single person could abandon that ritual practice, and that tribe would no longer exist. All of the people would still be alive, but the tribe would no longer exist because what identified the tribe was their ritual practices. So all of those people were incorporated into quote-unquote Israel. So that Israel, from the beginning, was in the terms we would think about it now, was a multi-ethnic tribe of people. Because people didn't organize themselves along those lines back then. And to the extent that they did, they either ceased to exist, or it was a matter of geographical circumstance more than it was actual intentional practice. So from a Christian perspective especially, this is just low IQ soy boy stuff.
Like I get I mean, I understand like the racial stuff. I get it. I don't think it's wrong per se. I understand wanting to live in a society where people look like you and think like you and act like you and believe what you believe. Like I get that. There's value there. I get it. But I think there's a tendency.
We also live in a world.
Yeah, we live in a real world where that's not the case. And
right.
Maybe making an idol out of ethnic purity or something like that is, I don't know, not productive.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It lends itself to screeching online and not doing things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And speaking of, so we talked last time about Alex Kashuda's thread and the response to it. And one of the things that we emphasized was that, so first of all, Alex, Cooper and I were both talking about this. We both agreed. She has very well established her credibility to this point. She's not a whining or shrieky girl boss. If you're not aware of who she is, she's got a long track record of the podcast she's done. I haven't listened to a lot of it just because she's not in my normal rotation, but she's very obviously a sober, sincere woman worth listening to. And when she's expressing these sentiments, when she's coming out and she's making these statements, knowing how they're going to be taken, she's worth listening to. And the great irony here is the response to what she's saying is just reinforcing and proving the truth of what she's saying. So she added some other thoughts here. She said, every echo chamber develops its own airtight, self-reinforcing lore. Here we've been growing ethno-narcissism for disgruntled men, complete with Yakub tier fabulation, stolen valor, learned helplessness, and victim narratives that would make Sean King blush. She's hitting at the heart of it. Because that's all this is. This is just victimhood shit. It's pathetic.
Shit.
She says, huffing your own farts comes at a price. You look like a prophet to fellow huffers, but like a rambling street preacher to everyone else. The fact that this is the corner in which, quote, illicit truths are peddled doesn't mean that its mechanisms guarantee that every illicit sounding thing you hear is true. Just that it fits the pattern, sounds illicit, and panders to the audience.
Yep.
This is the edgelord
Exactly
phenomenon.
right. She's exactly right.
Yes. And again, this is her perception. She's a woman. She's sharing her perception. This is what women do.
Yep.
We need women's perceptions because as men, we don't see all of reality. We're responsible for it, but we don't see it. We need women to point out the things to us that we don't naturally see. So even if her perception is wrong, and this is where the guys are owning themselves, because they're getting into debates with her or about her, where they're debating with what she's saying, questioning whether or not it's true. And I'm here to tell you, it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. What matters is that this is her perception. And if it's her perception and she's to the point where she's talking about it, that means that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
Your responsibility as a man when a woman brings her perception to you is to take it seriously. It's not to argue with her about why that shouldn't be her perception. You're a sucker if you're arguing with her about whether or not it should be her perception. Take it in as a data point, and it's a data point that you should value. You can say all you want, there's no movement, or we don't need women in politics, or we have
Yeah,
blah,
the
blah, blah, blah,
idea
blah.
that you're just going to get this all on your own and women aren't going to be involved, or they should just, slap a burqa on them and fucking get out of here, bitch. If that's your mindset, like, that's just pride, dude.
Yes.
It's a good way to, get overrun by barbarians or something.
Because here's the thing about so let's take it let's go abstract with it, take it away from her specifically. Just hypothetically, men and women in general together. We've talked before about how like you have the archetype of the king and then the queen. The queen's responsibility, the role that she plays. The queen goes out and she listens to the women in the city. The women in the city tell her what's going on with their husbands, what their husbands are thinking, what their husbands care about, what they're worried about, the threats that they're perceiving. She brings them back to the king, says, this is what's going on in your domain. If he's a bad king, then he's either going to ignore her or he's going to mock or ridicule or argue with her about how actually, no, that's not what's happening. It's not that. And if he does that, what he is going to lose is the value of her there as an agent on his behalf, bringing her perceptions to him. If he cuts that off, he's not long for the throne. In many ways, the queen is almost more powerful than the king. A proper queen is more powerful than the king. You have the analogy of the king being the head and the man being the head and the woman being the neck that turns him. The queen tells him where to look. It's up to him to evaluate that, figure out whether or not it's true, figure out what's there, what's not there, figure out how to manage it. That's his domain. But she's there as a helpmeet to him. The term helpmeet means constructive adversary. Her responsibility is to be adversarial. Her responsibility is to tell you the stuff you don't want to hear.
She has the authority and the power of the king if she knows how to wield it with none of the accountability.
Yes. She, without getting too lewd here, I suppose, she has many ways that she can manipulate the king.
Maybe change his mind on some things,
Getting the queen to take up your cause is a really good way to make sure the king takes your cause seriously. This should be, as a Christian in particular, this should be elementary. Perhaps not as, this may be more of an apostolic Christianity thing. Protestants might have more of an issue with this. But even you guys shouldn't. The first miracle performed by God incarnate. God incarnated as a man, and he performed miracles. The very first miracle that he performed, where he revealed himself for who he is, was done at the behest of his mother. His mother told him to do it at the wedding of Cana. She brought a problem to him and said, fix it. And he said, Mom, it's not time yet. And she said, yes, it is. Do it. And he said, yes, Mother. A woman directed God incarnate to reveal himself for who he is. And in fact, God chose a woman to incarnate through. Mm-hmm. And it only happened because she accepted it. She is the one who facilitated the incarnation by accepting it and embracing it and participating in it, playing her role in it. And she is the Queen of Heaven today.
And who were the first to see his resurrection, or to see him resurrected?
Mm-hmm.
Women. Who was the apostles to the apostles? The
Women.
apostle to the apostles. A woman.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the first apostle? A woman.
Saint
To
Fotini.
the Samaritans. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
While the 12 apostles or disciples at the time were still doing boneheaded things like denying the Lord and
yeah,
mistaking his identity
hiding.
like
Yes.
hiding like women.
Yes. The women were the ones who went out searching for him. And they're the ones that he chose. So he used a woman. I don't like that framing. He didn't use a woman. He chose a woman as the vessel for his incarnation. He obeyed a woman in the performance of his first miracle. He chose a woman as his first apostle. And then he revealed himself after he died and resurrected. He revealed himself first to a woman. A woman was his intermediary to his apostles. If you cannot understand Christian history and think that women should not be taken seriously or should not be listened to. This is insane stuff. This is the effects of the devouring mother, which again, the devouring mother comes about because of the deficiencies of the men. If a woman takes over a domineering role, it's because a man abandoned that role first. A woman won't take that role unless a man gives it to her. This is the as Charles Spadil, he calls it the curse of Eve. The curse of Eve is that she always wants to rule and she never will. She never can. The only way a woman can rule is at the behest of a man. I don't think it's a coincidence that what immediately, in historical terms, preceded the complete degenerate, corrupting feminization of society was like the longest rule in history by a female monarch.
I want to comment on something.
Go for it.
Donnie Two Picks in the chat says, "You guys are really understating marrying a roasty, or the destructive path, or the destructive path." I think he meant to say on. You guys are really understating marrying a roasty. Great term, dude. On the destructive path. In the future, most guys will have nothing to lose. It's a bitter pill to swallow for most men. I don't think we are understating that, and I'm not saying go out and like marry a roasty. I mean, obviously, somebody who... okay, what I'm saying is someone who was a roasty, that alone I don't think should bar them as a possibility of someone you marry, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not saying go, pick up... Like I said, I'm not saying go pick up the OnlyFans chick. Or at least not like someone who's actively living that lifestyle. But if, okay, someone's older, maybe they did some bad shit in their 20s, but, they want to settle down and maybe they're repentant. Hey, that's fine. That's what I'm saying. And I think Matt agrees with me.
Yes. Yes. I don't completely understand the first part of his comment and the last part of the comment. It doesn't follow to me.
Yeah, me neither.
In
I'm
the
not
future,
sure if he's
most
agreeing
guys
with
will
us or
have nothing
disagreeing
to
with us.
lose. Yeah, I mean, the degeneration of the society, the feminization of the society, is a consequence of men abandoning their role as men.
Yeah. So
It was
we're
men
saying,
who did this, and it's only men who can undo this. And not even thinking about undoing it is the wrong way, because we're not going back. We're going forward. Men are the ones who are going to have to rescue this civilization from the dregs. And one of the ways that's going to happen is by ensuring that women in their 30s who are still of childbearing age, who are single, and need to have babies put in them, need to have that happen.
okay, for those who don't know, because it's a roasty, as I understand it, I think is something like so, not necessarily an older woman, but maybe, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s, or maybe older, but just somebody who was promiscuous at one point.
It's a reference to beef curtains. Put it that
Oh,
way.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're loose. Yeah.
Yes.
Real highbrow tonight, guys.
Right. So I guess what we're saying is these women, it would be best if they were wifed up and babied up.
Yep.
The entire society is going to improve if these women get wiped up and babied up versus allowing them to wallow in eggless misery for the rest of their lives. If you think things are bad now, give it 20 years. The more of these women can be given their proper role as mothers before then, the better.
Yep.
And our job isn't to rescue society. Our job is to preserve our own communities and seek for the betterment of our own communities, and to whatever extent that can move out into the rest of society. Different people are going to have different responsibilities. But there is no justification for allowing these women to continue to suffer this way,
Dude, okay.
simply because of your own pride.
Seamus O. Blakely? Well, I agree with the message broadly. Isn't this message antithetical to patronage? Is it not intuitively beneficial to young men? It's not intuitively beneficial to young men to pick up some man's leftovers. Dude, you're talking about children.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like a dirtbag.
Yeah. And that may not seem, you seem sincere. That may not come across to you as the way it actually is. But these are children. These are children who did not choose the life that they have.
Yes,
they are victims of this life.
Okay, maybe that came out a little harsher than I meant to. Like, I'm not calling you a dirtbag. I'm just saying, like, listen to what you're saying, dude. You're talking about children.
And
when you're existing in these circles that are constantly thinking and talking like this, you don't realize how you sound.
Right.
To like, you're talking to fathers right now. Two guys who were actual fathers of children.
And it could be maybe he's saying some man's leftovers as he's speaking of the woman. And I don't know if that's better. I don't know. I think it's probably worse.
Yeah.
Because, again, the fact that a woman has been used up and mistreated by a man
does not mean she's trash.
Right. She has been victimized by a man. Men and women are not equal. The choices that they make are not equal. What it means for a woman to be held responsible for the choices she makes is a different thing than what it means for a man to be held responsible for the choices he makes. If a man wifed up a woman, gave her babies, and then pieced out on her, she could have been an insufferable harpy. She could have had any number of issues. He's the one who chose to marry her. He's the one who controlled that relationship, and he's the one who abandoned it. She's not leftovers. She's still a person. She's still a woman. She's still a woman who could make more babies. And the children who already exist, they need a father who's not a deadbeat. You can't complain about crime statistics and societal instability and how everything is degenerate and feminized, and at the same time say, no, I'm too good to be a stepdad. The reason society is as degenerate and corrupt as it is because there's men out there who are like, I'm too good to be a stepdad. This is lib shit.
Yeah.
You are not too good to be a stepdad. Being a stepdad is an incredibly noble, high calling. It's a sacrificial act, maybe even more than being a father itself. It's not something to be looked down on or spurned. It's aspirational because it does take a lot. It isn't easy. It's difficult. It requires you to be a man. But like you said, with this when you live in these circles, which by and large, a lot of the rhetoric in the misogynistic rhetoric, I think we'd probably be shocked just how much of this, maybe not even shocked really, just how much of this is driven by either gay guys or old single men.
Yep.
These conversations are not being driven by fathers, by men who have experience as fathers. That doesn't mean there's going to be the person who's like, oh, no, there's an exception. There's an exception. I'm a dad and I feel whatever. Fuck off. Yes, you are a uniquely fucked up example of what of the thing we're talking about, where you are a dad who still thinks and talks like a gay guy or an old single man.
Lockwood, cope. I'm not too good to be a stepdad. I'm not good enough. I will never be able to love another child as much as my own blood. Okay, fuck off, dude. You sound like a bitch. You're doing this piety thing. Like, I'm not good enough. Whatever, dude. Yeah, you're not. You're not.
Yeah, yes. At least you're self-aware enough to recognize that this is your own shortcoming.
Yep, and it's yours and only yours.
Mm-hmm. So you pointed out this sentiment. That this sentiment is pervasive among young men right now.
Yeah.
Who are being lured away by goonics. This is the absolute heart of goonicry.
Yes. The guys who are like dominating and leading your thought spaces are a bunch of goonics. These are guys with fucking porn brain.
Mm-hmm.
Gay Jews, basically, is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Here is...
If not literally, then spiritually.
So we're going to make you listen to another woman here, because she's a...
Sorry, guys. I'm making you listen to a lot of women today.
Yeah. But I like... Now, I've got my own feelings about Indian Bronson, but he's he nailed it with this here. So there's this woman... Play her video here. We will subject you to it. He says, you won't find anyone more witheringly sexist about modern women's behavior than me. But if the world you've got on offer is less appealing than living alone and not having kids, it's actually your fault, not theirs.
Yep.
So we'll listen to what she has to say here. Bear with us.
You know why I'm never going to shut up about being a single girl who lives alone? Is because I am the first woman, not only in my family, in my entire lineage, who's able to live alone. My mom was never able to live alone. Her mom was never able to live alone. Her mom was never able to live alone. Multiply that times infinity for the rest of forever till the beginning of humanity. And it actually is that deep. If you're a girly who's living right now in your own little apartment, can afford your own bills, can pay your own rent, you don't rely on your family, you don't rely on a man in your life to financially provide for you, you're quite literally breaking generational trauma. I can literally say it started with me. My sisters, everyone after me, I was the first. I was literally the first woman in my entire female lineage to live alone. It is that deep, and that's fucking crazy, and I will not shut up about it.
Oh, that was difficult to listen to, man.
Yes. This woman should not be treated as an insightful person in her own right. She is a woman who is parroting what she's been trained to parrot. These are not original thoughts to her. She's not sitting down and coming up with something insightful to say. She's reflexively repeating back what she's been conditioned to think and believe. I've seen so many different examples of, you see the woman who it shows like a picture or a video of her when she's, I don't know, early 20s or something like that. And then 5 years later, you see her with a baby bump with 2 kids on her arms, with her husband living in front of their farmhouse, because she met a man. She met a man, and all of this bullshit feminist stuff just sloughed right off of her, just disappeared. Because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
What she needs is a man in her life who doesn't explain to her why it's bullshit and argue with her about why it's bullshit. That's called autism, and not the good kind. She needs a man who sweeps her off her fucking feet and puts a baby in her. That will rewire her brain.
It's the kind of autism that does not get you laid.
Right, yeah.
Jason said something funny in the chat. He said, side quest. I'm enjoying the irony that the further into Lent we get, the more chill I get, and the more Matt and Cooper start to sound like pre-Lent me. And you're exactly right. And you know what? I'll just go ahead and say to everybody in the chat that we've been yelling at, and that I've been calling names. Yeah, sorry guys.
Right.
Get a little riled up. It's not that, don't take it personally. It's not that deep.
I would wager that probably the majority we're probably preaching to the choir by and large, but somebody needs to say this stuff. Like, somebody needs to talk about this. Because the thing that Alex Kashuta is identifying, the fact that, like, the right-wing political dissident, whatever energy is very much at risk of being overtaken by this pathetic goonacry. And it's not going to happen on my watch. I don't care who disagrees. I don't care how much you want to spurg out or shriek at me. I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah, fuck all you, I'm right.
Stop being a bunch of whiny little boys, sack up, and act like men. Men who recognize their own deficiencies and recognize the necessity of them submitting themselves to a woman. To allow her to slough off your deficiencies, to round off your hard edges. You need those hard edges because you need them to be a man, but you need a woman there to constrain them. Cooper was telling me the other day about, super chat here from David. Thank you, man. $20. He says, pray for us sinners. Absolutely. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
You mentioned something the other day about, I don't remember the context of it, so I'm going to see how much of this I can get out before you understand what I'm talking about, and you could just take it over.
Okay.
Something about men and the way that women constrain them sexually, and the difference between gay guys and prostitutes. It was like some guy you were talking about.
It was on Buck's show. He was interviewing, who's that dude on Twitter, that Orthodox dude? His big thing is that he was Catholic and molested or whatever.
Joseph Shambra.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how back when he was still being all big and gay and stuff, he had a phase where he was bisexual, I guess, whatever. And he said, he was kind of talking about that women, just by the dynamic between men and women is such that women are going to work as like at least a constraint on male passion, sexual or otherwise. But in this case, he was talking about like sexuality. And he said he could not get even really promiscuous women like prostitutes to do things for a lot of money that he could get gay men to do for free. So it's like even prostitutes are a constraint on male sexuality compared to them not being there.
Yes.
Like
and
women,
that's
that right there. There's a lesson in there that the prostitutes are even the prostitutes. They are kind of like complete degeneracy and chaos. There's still kind of a bulwark between that and what men can do. The absolute depravity that men can fall into. that the worst of the worst are even more restrained than what men are capable of.
Adam Peterson says, dad of 5, 4 stepkids here. Shout out to you, man. See, that's a man.
That's a man.
That's a real man right there. That's a man who is taking responsibility for the shortcomings of another man. That's not cucked. What is cucked is not doing that, is not taking responsibility for the shortcomings of other men in your society. Men are going to make mistakes. There needs to be other men who will make up for those mistakes, who will atone for them. This is the role of not just fathers, but this is how you are. This is how you're a father to an entire community, not just your own family. That's what a chief is, or a king, or a monarch, or an emperor, or a noble. Like this is the role that they're playing, the patriarchal masculine role.
Seamus, and okay, Seamus, I think I did yell at you a few minutes ago, so sorry, man. I was a little riled up. In any case, he did make a comment here that's really, really salient. He said, especially when people in our own sphere, the dissident right broadly, consider the idea to be feminine and weak. So you know it's the right thing to do, but your own allies make fun of you. That's it. That's right there. The reason why this whole, like, everyone's all, fucking weird about this is because they don't want to be made fun of by their friends.
Mm-hmm.
They're being
That's very gay.
Peer pressure. Yeah, you sound, I'm not talking about you, Seamus, specifically, but, like, guys, doesn't that make you feel kind of like a bitch? That your online Twitter friends might make fun of you because you have a stepkid or something like that? Ugh!
Gives you the ick.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives me the ick. You sound like a bitch. You are not someone I would depend on. Not, again, using you generally. Not you specifically, Seamus. I don't know you.
Earlier up in the chat, he said very few would be willing to because many would be resentful of the fact that they were passed over until the woman was desperate. That's true. And also, you know what? A lot of those guys who are resentful about that, like you said earlier, Cooper, they are worth a whole lot. You are not owed a virgin trad wife by dint of you having a penis.
Yeah.
You might be ugly. You might not make very much money. You might be kind of lazy. You might have bad body odor. You might have any number of different issues. You might have a bad case of acne. You might have a stutter. You might have anything.
You might have
and it is a miracle from God that you find any woman who will put up with you.
Yep.
Women are hypergamous. Yes. That means lots of men are going to get the leftovers. Yes, correct. And you know what? You're not too good for the leftovers. But if you're going to lean into your resentment, that's when you're being a lib. Liberalism is resentment politicized.
Yep.
It's what happens when resentment turns into a political movement. If you're resentful of women, if you're resentful of other men, you're a lib. If you want to be a man, you can't lean into the resentment.
Midwit beef theology. Super chat for 5, whatever fake currency that is. But in any case,
looks like euros.
Euros, is that what that is? I don't care about anything. I don't care about Europeans. What's your take on a man taking a 35-year-old mom of 3 kids from 3 different dads? Okay. As I said earlier, use some discernment. I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough. I guess I'm not going to start. I feel gay fucking qualifying everything. You guys get me riled up. I'm swearing a lot this episode. Sorry, guys. Swearing during Lent. Oh, well. I think it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
What do I think about it? I think it's fine. That guy's a better guy than I am. I think it's fine. I mean, yeah, obviously, like I was saying, use your discernment. Is she repentant? Like, is this someone, like, who is, like... I don't know. There's a whole lot of context that could go into a story like that, but I think it's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't.
The man and do it. Good. All right, Godspeed, man. Good for you. Those kids. I mean, you could change their life.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Maybe one of those kids is going to cure cancer someday, and it's because of you.
Yeah, they could be like lawyers and doctors and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Scholars.
Or maybe not. Maybe they're just a good Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe, like my stepdad, being a father to me when my own father was not, maybe you doing that for them will encourage them to do likewise. Because there's a lot of kids that need good dads.
And maybe you sign up for a lifetime of heartache and stress and anxiety and disappointment, and that's what redeems you.
Yes.
Thanks for the super chat, man. I appreciate it.
Kyle. Cooper has kind of a twink Don Draper thing going on this episode. I appreciate that. That's a compliment.
Give us some Zoomer emotes in the chat. That's a Zoomer Don Draper. Okay, so we're just about at the 2-hour mark here, but I've got one more thing, so we're just gonna fucking lean into it, man. We're gonna go all the way.
Let's wrap this up. So let's go nuclear.
Yes. So this one here, I'm not going to make you listen to this chick. She's PSA. If we want to stop driving women away from the right, we need to stop talking to women like they're men. Yes. Women are not men. Don't talk to them like men. And if you want to, I've seen a lot of these guys who are, we don't need women in our political movement. What reality are you living in? What reality are you living in where you think you're going to have any type of successful political movement that's a sausage fest?
Yeah, they're in the gay circle jerk one.
Yes. This it's just going to be all men. Now I understand maybe the implication here is like we don't need to listen to women expositing on political theory or whatever. Well, yeah, we've got a whole lot more men expositing on political theory than we need. We need men who are doing a lot more than talking. But the thing with women is, yes, you don't want all women out there having political podcasts talking about politics, but you do need some. You absolutely need some. You need the exceptions to the rule. The exceptions that prove the rule. Because someone like Alex Kashuta, she's going to give you the feminine perspective that you need. So your political movement doesn't turn into a gay piss orgy.
Yeah.
Men who are just leaning into their own manhood and driving their whole organization off a cliff. You need the women who are there to constrain you. You need to listen to their perceptions. Listen to their intuitions. Take it in as data. This doesn't mean you have to coddle them or validate them or whatever, but you definitely want them there. You want to know what the women are thinking. You want to have women who are talking to other women. You want your women to learn from the women who they should be learning from. How to be good mothers, how to exist within a society like this, how to support their husbands. You absolutely need that. And generally, like more broadly speaking, you could say what you want about democracy, but the fact is we live in a democratic society right now. We live in a society where if you're going to accomplish anything politically, you're going to have women on board for however long that lasts. And if you have a movement, an organization, a political thing that's happening that is exclusively men, it will fail. Other men will not trust it. Women will not trust it. And if they're not going to trust it, they're not going to invest in it, they're not going to support it, they're not going to align with it, and it will collapse. Donnie Tupic says American politics is so retarded. Yeah, but it is. It just is. It's what's there. You can complain all you want about how unideal it is, or how what's Pete Quinones thing and Capistan in your head. You've got feudal Stan in your head. that, women shouldn't have political opinions. Okay, sure, yeah. They do. Listen to them. Probably 98% of them aren't worth anything.
Yep.
But that 2% is really, really crucial.
Yeah, I mean, that 2% can undo a society, a civilization, you know?
Right. So, good friend of the podcast here, Kryptos, he said, like I said, I won't subject you to listening to this woman. She seems nice. He says, she's basically explaining without saying it directly, very woman, why women are liberals. My experience is that generally women want you to affirm their choices, listen to them until they feel heard without offering solutions. They want you to cheer them in their choices.
Yes.
He says, women generally don't like direct confrontation. They don't like to be challenged. They like indirect communication and to shield their actions behind policies or pass responsibility to the group. This is largely why they more frequently become liberals. What men get wrong is that they assume liberalism is primarily a set of disastrous policies. Men think all they have to do is show them how bad they are. What they fail to see is that liberalism is a whole world and life view that is generally more appealing to women than men. Liberalism is based on the idea that people are more or less good, that they are born blank slates. People are good the way they are. The problem is with society and its systems, its form of government, its policies, its structures, laws, policies, and programs. He said policies twice. Liberalism thus takes responsibility for the society off the person and places it onto the social systems. This approach is generally attractive to women because it uses both indirect power, policies, procedures, laws, and systems, while allowing you to always affirm the person as person. Women are drawn to liberalism, I believe, because it simply suits them better in terms of disposition. Conservatives, emphasizing personal moral responsibility and hierarchy, are generally off-putting to women, as women generally are less disposed to hearing, "It's your fault, you need to change," than are men. Granted, no one likes to hear this, but generally men are more open to this kind of in-your-face confrontation. The problem is fundamentally that liberalism more broadly suits the feminine disposition, and conservatism is more generally suited to a male disposition. If men learn to talk to women as women about politics, they eventually become liberals. So, liberalism is feminine, is a feminine political system. Now, here's the thing. I also said liberalism is resentment politicized. If you are a man and your politics is driven by resentment, your life choices are driven by resentment, whether that resentment is toward men or toward women or toward society, you are politically feminine. If you are resenting women because they're not giving you your ideal virgin trad wife or whatever it is that you're wanting, and you're motivated by that resentment, you are a gunic. That is spiritually, politically feminine.
And because we like to put our money where our mouth is. That's what we do here on the Kingfield Show. We're going to listen to our resident woman. Kate J says, women on this side need to guide other women dominating society that it's in their best interest to step aside. So to a degree, you're going to need those women who will do that. That's a good point. I didn't think about that. See, this is good to listen to women. That, like, if you're going to try to get more women to come along, first of all, to get out of your way, and then to, like, come on board, you're going to need women to help you do that.
Super chat from High Powered.
Yeah.
$10 US. Thank you, my friend. He says, won't ever happen, but humor me. What if women didn't have the right to vote?
You're fucking with us, aren't you?
You've got to be. I'll just say that I think most men shouldn't have the right to vote either. And who gave women the right to vote? It wasn't women.
Yep. Subversive men.
Subversive men acting like women. Gay men. Hostility to women from a man is like one of the most gay things that I can imagine. Like, you ever met a gay guy, the way that they'll talk about women? You get the entire like Yas Queen kind of gay guy vibe is like a derogatory parody of women, of femininity. I don't care what your reasoning is. I don't care how many justifications you think you have. If you're hostile to women as a man, you are gay.
You don't even have to be sucking dick. You're gay.
Right, yeah. $5 super chat from Seasider. Thank you, man. He says, remember when Destiny called Sargon a cuck for marrying a single mom? How's that going? Great show, by the way.
Oh yeah, that really the irony there.
Yeah.
Destiny, the actual cuck.
Yes. And Sargon, the based Anglo. I actually don't really know anything about Destiny. I've never watched him intentionally. I saw the clip of him talking to Jordan Peterson, and where they were talking about, what was the context? It was, what's that?
The jabbies?
Yeah. And Jordan Peterson just completely disemboweled him with like 5 questions in 10 seconds.
And Destiny's just over there squirming like a little rat.
Any dude who calls himself Destiny and has blue hair and has man boobs, like, yeah, I'm not, I don't really need to know what this person thinks or says.
Anyway, we need to wrap, or at least I need to wrap.
I got a business call I got to get on to. We've been going long lately. This is we're keeping the viewership. You guys seem to be enjoying it. Appreciate all the super chats today, guys. You're great.
I do not want to go on the Crucible. Sorry, Mr. Midwit Beef Theology.
Yeah, I don't either.
Not my. I don't have a problem with I don't have a problem with any of those guys. Like Zen's cool. Andrew, right? That's his name.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't have any problem with them, but like I do not. Dude, blood sports is not my thing.
Yeah.
So,
we were talking today about debating and our apologetics and everything, and we're just that's an exercise for some people, and we are not some people.
No, not interested. You guys can go do your thing.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you very much for showing up here today. Appreciate you. Once again, do us a favor. Like the stream, share the stream, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, subscribe to us on your favorite podcatcher of choice. And we'll be back probably within the next couple of days. You can also, if you want to join the King Pill Discord, go to kingpill.com. I think if I saw correctly, some guys are doing a voice chat tonight to plan out an in-person King Pill meetup this summer. Hopefully I'm going to have the time off work that I could join in on that, but even if I can't, I'll enjoy it from afar. And kingpill.com. That'll get you into the Discord server. We're also going to be talking about some real estate stuff here in the near future. Some creative ways for our guys to get into real estate and start buying America. Just think, if we could get more of our guys to buy houses, to own real estate, build real estate empires, you could be a 3. You could be in rough shape. And you could land yourself a good woman, because ultimately they just want that security. Women being gold diggers is a feature, not a bug. That's what motivates men to dig for gold.
That's right. So get yourself a lot of gold.
Yes.
And then maybe grow a beard and go to the gym or whatever. There's some things you can do.
Taylor says server is worth it. Join us. We have memes. Yes, we got a meme thread and it's popping.
Not everybody can be as handsome as me.
Oh yeah. Now you need to grow the hair back out. Really, like you gotta stop looking 12.
Yeah. I regret cutting the hair and the beard a little bit. I have the beard down to here, and I don't know. It's so much easier not having a beard. But I do look like I'm in high school again. I want the hair. I'm growing out the long hair. I'm growing it back out.
Good boy.
I can't handle having short hair.
All right, we got to bounce. See you guys. Thank you much.